Chilly here with Sirius Talis Moon, and Ascendant is with the Sun in 12 degrees Sagittarius, which is my Uranus. And the midheaven is applying to Al Qaid. This is Jupiter day, Jupiter hour. Jupiter is retrograde in Cancer, and the Moon has just crossed Beta Persei, Uranus, and now Sedna in Gemini in the 7th house. Mercury is 22 in Scorpio. Lilith is opposing Uranus. So she will enter the opposition minute later today, I believe. Um, she has been opposing Uranus since yesterday. And Mars is 21 degrees Sag, applying to square Saturn and Neptune. Venus is 4 degrees Sag. So we're going to have a full moon in Gemini, in the middle decan of Gemini. That's to do with the serpent and to do with a lot of transmutation energy. While Mercury is still going to be 22ing. So it's going to be transmutation of things that have life or death meaning of. Mars is invisible, so thanks Gracia Tasio for when are the planets visible and invisible, which means that it's going to have an extra occultistic type of transmutation. I'd like to always think about what I woke up with. And I woke up with, yesterday we had a beta persei minima. That's Medusa Gorgon or Algol, okay, at 24, 26 degrees Taurus. And I woke up with this gnosis that I've been having for a while, and I told everyone about Uranus in Taurus relationally being the divorces because of something to do with human trafficking. Now, this is playing out around the decan of the Sun of Israel, which is in the 8th house, and we basically are having exposure of satanic ritual abuse and the sexual offenses in the parliament. As half Dutch, I saw it playing out in Netherlands, um, and now I see it's arriving to Israel, and Netherlands has moon beta persei, Israel has sun beta persei. Netherlands has its moon in the 11th house, Israel has its sun in the 8th house. So the topic of housing in Netherlands, but also mothers, and unfortunately the topic of femicide has been coming to the forefront. The people that have the midheaven in that they can, whether the people know or don't, they gonna know. And I saw it playing out in the Netherlands. Now I see it arriving in Israel, and Israel have even its lawyers um, pointing out at the foundations of the human trafficking that both caused the Holocaust and was at the financial foundations of Israel, which is child trafficking and human trafficking. It's not just Israel; it's everywhere. But this is where my particular gnosis about Beta Persei is that I take this full moon to use the transmutation and the Kundalini transmutation to transmute from trafficking timelines, wealth consolidation based on trafficking timelines, into sexual sovereignty and and honoring the life energy as not just the sexual not just willing consent, but sexual sovereignty because it's honoring the life energy. And anything that's based on violation of that needs to go through transmutation. Okay, so for me, I have Taurus in the 8th house of siblings, um, and business and podcast. Um, and there was really attempt to traffic me uh, targeting my, I guess, also my content creation on YouTube. When with Uranus ingress to Beta Persei, um, we have to take into account a lot of the art, a lot of the creation, a lot of the politics, a lot of the big things that were made through human trafficking, and that pertains to our entertainment industry, but also to our politics, our science, and how important love that is actually loving in the process. Um, People that have, let's say, Taurus in the seventh house, Fulcan, yo, really need that would be the Scorpio ascendant where Venus is ruling both the 12th house and the seventh. Y'all really need to get into the nitty gritty of what that means mentally, emotionally, the effects of the fact that trafficking is done by torture and kidnapping, the occult involved in trafficking, the way it could affect what you may perceive as hidden enemies. These are not third parties, these are not third parties, these are not third parties. It's a beta persei story. And the fact that trafficking is done usually using lover boy, which means that somebody would um, love bomb, and I actually had the dream to do with love bombing, and that is used as with a person, and they would usually target it. There would be a torture involved, so they would break down the person, they would bring a love bombing, and that is not a third party. Okay, I cannot stress that enough because it's a life or death issue. Okay, beta persei is dead bodies upon dead bodies. Okay, y'all don't want to be one of the dead bodies, and this is exactly why the transmutation of anything trafficking. So for the timelines of with Scorpio ascendants, Libra ascendant could be your eighth house. Okay, it could be your wealth consolidation. Um, then okay, Israel is Libra ascendant. Um, Virgo ascendants. This NATO is Virgo ascendant. That has to do with the international relations. Okay, so if NATO will not transmute Gladio, there will be no NATO. Okay, that literally is with Lilith Rahu. That literally is a very important trajectory to tackle. Okay, um, there are many worldviews that were religions that were shaped on the foundation. And I talked about the courtesan partisan, and a part of that gnosis came from doing Nato's chart, and now Nato's head has Virgo ascendant as well. So the courtesan partisan division, that's basically rape based, is was birthing religions that had the Madonna whore complex. Okay, and everything that's not a married woman or a sacred virgin that would also be a sacred whore somehow, and more often than not would be a child. By the way, I talked about a whore of Babylon. And very likely have been a child. Okay, we have the myths of Gilgamesh where they were more matriarchal, and Gilgamesh had to assert his sovereignty in the face of Inanna, because she would not be she would marry whomever and then kill whomever. But in real life, we talk about trafficking lineages, and the real Cleopatra is her handler, and this is something that is coming up. Okay, with Beta Persei, we had Uranus Jupiter conjunction on Beta Persei. Okay, the last Uranus Jupiter conjunction, Jupiter Uranus was on Beta Persei. A lot of us capture that in talismans, um, whether accidentally or intentionally, and this is a reminder. Jupiter's children. Jupiter was also the Zeus, whose vice was incest, um, and that was okay. I had a lot of fortune coming up with a talisman, and let's just say the gnosis I experienced, without that I don't wish on my enemies. But I definitely um, see how beta perseis dead bodies upon dead bodies. Okay, it causes one to manifest mass death because it is basically, and I saw the story of a Peter Pan that basically has to do with the expendable children. Okay, so the use of expendable children, of unregistered birth, of children, of orphans, to in ritual to create eternal youth for Peter Pan, and those children were considered expendable. So, um, and those are not things that you'll find. Oh, what is the resource of that? Well, when the academia is infiltrated with human trafficking and child trafficking, and every researcher, which is how I came about that topic, every researcher that that could negate, with even being naive and doing just science, could negate the many trafficking that needs to be masqueraded with the tag of pseudoscience on what is proving trafficking. The annihilation of occultists that don't do or don't participate in trafficking, MK often, which is trafficking, Tool, which was the Nazi occultistic community. Later, I think it would be the Red Shoe thingy. Um, and here we have to take into account that identification of talents was happening through trafficking. Okay, and wealth consolidation was happening through trafficking, child trafficking, horrible things. Uranus in Taurus, whether people believe or not, is coming to liberate the Uranus is liberating the Kundalini energy, the Kundalini rise. It's coming to liberate the Kundalini energy from these Beta per se stories. Now, nothing of the moral standards that associates with the coverage of child trafficking, human trafficking, holds anything. Not marriages, not alliances, not peace agreements, not war strategies, not business and entrepreneurship, not partnerships, not professions and occupations, not genocidal stories even. Okay, it's kind of like genocide. Fantastic. Israel was also founded at the brinks of a genocide. It was founded among a human trafficking ring. Is it the same in Palestine? Well, then why do Mama Talibans do back? Why are women in Palestine trafficked? And the clothes, okay, in both the revealing clothes that were under the masquerade of sexual liberation that one could not opt out of, and the over clothing that was under the guise of modesty, and modesty there had to do with something that negates sexual sovereignty. So trafficking would be within marriage in all religions. Okay, the full moon in Gemini, which is the deacon of the snake of transmutation, the carrying of contradictions, is giving us a chance to fully see what's been affecting our Kundalini, okay? Because when Uranus strikes there, for me it would be my Uranus return. When Uranus strikes middle decan Gemini, um, for me it would be my Uranus return. And this is where, it's the decan of the aftermath of Aldebaran. It's a decan that holds a lot of contradiction. Because in Aldebaran we have the win over the land, and then people are like, well, why did that win? And this is the deacon where we find out if Aldebaran was a Pyrrhus win or not. Okay, think about a situation. A lady decides that she is going to own the house of what she thinks is a third party. Then she finds out that that so-called third party was trafficked there, and there may have been bodies buried underneath the soil, and there may have been escaping trafficking from that what she considered third party, and then she basically owns a land that she will have to transmute the energy of and and repent fiscally towards those that she considered third party, and who know how many estates, and who knows how many women and children and men. And so that so-called act of vengeance sends her on a journey of repent, where now she has to transmute the energy around each of these properties to give them independently of ability to work for unlimited time to curate from the so-called psychosis of the aftermath of human trafficking. And that's wealth consolidation. Okay? So, for example, one of the gnosis for me with Beta Persei, I saw is like she's a wealth talisman, but she's a bodies upon bodies. So what's happening there? Well, she's a wealth talisman when we honor sexual sovereignty. Aries is sovereignty and sexual sovereignty. Taurus is being and fertility. So when we honor the sexual sovereignty, basically in spirit and in matter, which is the last decan of Taurus, we tap into the untapped potential of wealth, which is our own sovereignty. It's our own life energy to begin with. The recovery from traffic, which is the recovery from satanic abuse. 99% of people recovering from human trafficking were ritually abused in spirit and or in matter. Yes, it can happen in spirit as well. It's an occult practice. It is the infant's life energy. Ma? Mom? Oh, okay. It is the infant's life energy. And so the survivor, I'm recording, the survivor, okay, energy, the survivor's untapped energy, their recovery from ritual abuse and trafficking is their recovering of their own wealth. And this is where Bedever says a wealth talisman. It's the infant's own life energy. People talk about, oh, the income-based housing or the welfare or this or that. Nothing. It's the life energy of people that come into their sexual sovereignty. So their own life energy is returning, and that is necessary for their recovery. The wealth was made on harvesting their life energy and keeping them in dead alive situation all their lives. Okay, a lot of people that are having the Neptune trine, and the okay, and Uranus going over significant parts of their chart, they may have dysnosis, but they will need to transmute everything that was based off of human trafficking for them, because people that are in decision-making positions, namely government lobbies, business conglomerates, okay, not just Bilderberg, all that global WEF, but also the secret societies, they will need to transmute to not be dead bodies upon dead bodies, okay? And this is important because the life harvesting occult, think about Hitler. He conquered almost all the world, okay? And then it was a big bubble, and then boom, puff. And it was a booming of sovereignties upon that bubble. But the cultures that were still unaccustomed to sexual sovereignty, because in the beginning it was, well, the working ladies suddenly had money. or suddenly had in the past one had to be a courtesan. Even when I watch channels like Privileged Few, the timeline came that she wanted to bridge in the gap. She was making video of how to be a mistress, and in the past, indeed, being a courtesan was a way of earning some sort of wealth and position in society that is somewhat free. But without sexual sovereignty, there is no freedom. And this is what nobody has to die. There doesn't have to be a war, but this is what the war is about. It's a tapping into the life energy that was harvested by those who made the supposed wealth that necessitated harloting oneself in order to be either a wife, a courtesan, a man. And by the way, the within the elite society, there's the cloning, there are the horrid rituals that are done. So there are anomalies even to the genitals. So really, it accentuates connecting with the life energy as a tantric transmutation, because it's about a lot of the sexual energy is not where the genitals are. Okay, for various reasons. It can be both sex addiction, but also energy transmutation because of that. Um, and it's also the abolishing of any type of genital mutilation, okay, whether by cloning or the elite, or any type of indigenous or monotheistic religion. Okay, that looks too amazing. And I just have to eat my breakfast. Um, so, this full moon is a great opportunity to transmute and understand that even though the world was founded on sexual boundary violation and child rights violation, it's not where it's going. And unless people want to have dead bodies upon dead bodies every time Uranus is on Beta persei. I mean, that, you know,